me, indeed, Beyonce. It's only the intro and the chorus, so it's an abridged arrangement. This is the first one where I started thinking actually using your fingers of your right hand might be a good plan, and you probably noticed I decided to do the intro just using my right hand fingers, and I played the rest of it using the pick. It's the kind of thing you'd want to experiment with. Either all the way through was the logical solution, but I decided to mix them up to illustrate both approaches. Certainly if you're going to use fingers for the arpeggio bits, you'd use your thumb for the first note in the bar, so the very first note, and the first note in the second bar, and the first note in the third bar, and the first note in the fourth bar, and so on, and then use your other fingers, index finger on the third string, middle finger on the second string, and in theory, in principle, with good technique, your ring finger, your A finger of your right hand. So your first four notes would be your ring finger, your index finger, your middle finger, ring finger like that. You could call it P-I-M-A if you're used to the classical abbreviations. Or you can use your pick and skip the strings in the usual way. I think you find in this, because it's obviously a fairly slow reflective song, the chords are meant to be really quite quiet and background, and especially when you're in the chorus, so from letter A on the third line after you've done a little intro to that chorus, make sure that the chords are acting almost like a kind of background. You're basically playing both things kind of wrapped together in the same part, so the chords shouldn't be kind of whacked out, kind of big and strong. This is where we get this G chord, the famous G chord, where you need to use your second finger on the 6th string on the 3rd fret, your first finger on the 5th string on the 2nd fret, open 4th, 3rd, and then the 3rd finger plays the 2nd string, 3rd fret, and your 4th finger plays the 1st string on the 3rd fret. It's quite a hard version to make. They've decided to put it in there. I guess the good news is you've got bags of time to make the chord change to that G every single time. And coming back to the intro and indeed the outro, when you're making those arpeggio shapes, make sure that the fingers stay on within the chord shape. So obviously your second finger stays on when you're playing the first note, and then your first finger stays on when you've changed to the 5th, 8th note, the 5th quaver, where it changes to the C chord, your first finger would stay on. And then when you're doing next bar, leave the fingers on as long as they can, so the notes keep ringing over each other. The finger notes keep ringing, of course the open strings will keep ringing, so long as any fingers which are on adjacent strings are upright and out of the way. So classic test time, can we call it that? Your first two notes, if you finger the first note with your second finger, can you hear the second note when you play the 3rd string? If you do that, then of course that's not really right. So you make sure your fingers are upright so that the open strings ring, and then the stopped notes ring as well, and so there's an equivalence between the two, so the open strings and the stop strings are doing the same thing, they're keeping on ringing. That's the style when you're doing this kind of thing, and that would be the way to get the best marks for doing this track. It's quite nice, isn't it?